Hi there, welcome back to the Messy Cook. Been a while, but today I am making chicken bone broth or chicken stock. I'm using chicken feet and chicken carcasses. I have a whole nother pan of chicken carcasses that I picked up. I've also saved some through the last little while. I'm currently cutting the toenails off of the chicken. So you can see here, focus in. Oh, there we go. Maybe I can get this. Sinks are clean, don't worry. So I'm just cutting these little toenails off. There's 4 little toenails. They're kind of sharp. The reason I'm cutting them off is because if there's any dirt trapped underneath, I'll strain this water. There's a bit of vinegar and water here, which I wash the chicken feet in, and normally I don't wash my chicken, but for this purpose, that's what I'm doing. So I'm just finishing off cutting the toenails off, the last few. I'm going to be adding it in. I'll come around quickly to the other side of my house here. I have this big 26 quart slow cooker, or it's not really a slow cooker, it's more of a roasting pan, but I've got carrot, celery, onions. I also have saved over the last 6 months or so scraps, so there's some parsley in there, onion skins and pea pods, just basic scraps. And I have a slow cooker, a small one here as well, because I have a lot of bones and I want to be sure that I'm going to be able to get this all done. So long story short, yeah, so I'm going to finish this up. There's the last few chicken feet. What I'm going to do when I'm done with that is I'm going to put all of the bones in 2 crock pots there behind me, and I'm going to cover them with water. I also have some peppercorns in there. I'm going to add in the small one maybe a 1/4 cup of cider vinegar, and the big one about 1/2 cup of cider vinegar. That helps extract the all the jelly and the stuff that's going to make this chicken broth all gelatinous and like really healthy for you. So we're going to do that. I'm going to let this cook for about 36 hours, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 38. You can go anywhere from 24 hours up, but I want to extract as much goodness out of these as I can. And then I'm going to pressure can them. So we're going to take you along the journey, and if you're interested or you have any questions about this, let me know. Okay, so I also wanted to show you what else I'm using. So I picked up, like I said, I had some bones, some chicken backs, some bones from roasted chickens, which are in another pan. And then I went to Highland where I picked up the chicken feet. They were about $5 a bag, and I got 3 bags of those, so that was really cheap. They're already processed other than the nails, the skin's taken off of the feet, so that worked out really well. I didn't have to peel them. And then right now I picked up 4 bags of chicken carcasses, so there's about 3. This was 1 bag, so that's about 3 carcasses right there. So what I'd advise you as you go along, if you do bone your own chicken, save the bones in a freezer bag. Make sure all the air is out of them, shove them in the freezer, and when you want to make bone broth, you'll have what you need. Otherwise, like I said, I went to Highland Packers. It cost me, I think, $25 for the chicken feet. No, sorry, $15 for the chicken feet, and I think it was like $30 for the chicken backs. But if you buy bone broth in the store, you'll know for a good quality jellied bone broth, you're spending like $11, $12 for a couple of cups. If you're lucky, maybe 3 cups. But hopefully this is going to be a nice gelatinous, lovely one. I will be skimming fat as I go along, but I'll continue with the process and keep you up to date. Okay, so I have 2 pots here. This is the small slow cooker, so I'm going to fill and cover these with water right up to the rim. I'm going to cook these for 36 hours. I'm going to bring it on high first, and then I'm going to turn the temperature down to low, and it has to stay simmering. So you want about the 200 mark. Now this one is you can see in there, it's a roaster oven, so I will turn this up to high. Same thing, I'll cover everything here in water. All the veggies and stuff that I showed you earlier are underneath. And I'm going to do the same thing, bring this to high. And when it's bubbling and whatnot, I will turn it to about 200 degrees, and we just want to keep it bubbling again. So today it's 12:30 on Tuesday, so my plan is to get this out on Thursday morning and be able to pressure can it. So I'm going to fill these up with water and get them on. I have my last jug of water. It's just cold water from the tap. You can use filtered water. If you live out in the country and you're using the water, just use your filtered water. I'm going to fill this right to the brim So you can see that's right to the brim. And I'm going to cover this up. Just get my cover here. I've already done the small crock pot. And let me, sorry for the camera work here. We're going to put this right on the top. So the nice thing about the roaster, this is the 26 quart roaster. The nice thing I like about this is that it holds a lot. So we can do a very large batch. Sorry for the camera work there. I've turned my regular crock pot on high. So about an hour or so, hopefully a couple hours, this should be boiling. If it is, then I'm going to turn it down to the low spot and keep it going at that. This one is a Vivor. I am going to turn it right up to 350. If you can see that or not, 350 mark. Same thing, I'm going to bring this to a boil. When it comes to a boil, I'll try to stir everything up I can, and then I'm going to turn it down to the 200 mark right here. And we want to keep that simmering. If you can turn it a little lower, and as long as it's still simmering, that's okay too. So the whole idea of this is to extract, I should say, all of the collagen. A little bit of veggies helps with some flavor. I didn't add any salt because I'd rather do that when I use the broth. I'm going to pressure can this. Yeah, I'll add salt then. I did add some peppercorns. You'll see a few floating on the top there. Around there, they're probably more on the bottom and whatnot. So this will roast up, darken up. The other thing you can do if you want, you can certainly roast the bones ahead of time. I didn't do that. I've been watching a few different videos on some instructions on how to do this, and it's kind of a half and half, so it really depends on what you want. If you want to roast, that's fine. It'll give a little bit darker broth, but I think you're going to end up with the same jellied texture, well, hopefully anyhow. So I'm going to let these go. When they come to a boil, I'll come back and just show you what we're looking for, and then we're going to let them go for a couple of days. I'll stir them up periodically in between, and we'll be back after that to get these all strained and canned. Okay, so this has been on for a couple of hours. I just want to let you see here. That's just about the steam out of the way. There we go. I don't know if we can see that or not, but it is coming along. The broth already is looking nice, so I think this is going to be really, really good. So we're going to keep that going. And this one here, this is just the crock pot, already starting to get there. It's not boiling yet, so this one's still on high. I'm going to let it go about another hour. I think I should be enough to turn it down. This one I started here, the big one here on 350, and it's down to 200 now. So we're just going to let it bubble, and I will check in periodically and give you some updates as the time goes by. Good morning. So it is now Thursday morning. This has been going for about 40 hours, and it's nice and thick and rich. And I'm going to show the other pot, which I'm starting to strain now. This is the other one. You can see how thick this broth is. So we're going to strain everything out through a fine sieve, and then I'll strain it again into the pot to heat up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've taken all the big pieces out, as you can see all here. This is just out of the small one. And what I'm going to do is take a 2-cup measure, and I'm straining this through a larger fine sieve right here. So I'm going to continue to strain all of this out. What I'm going to do from there is I'm going to, actually I'll show you the next step now. Set that aside. What I'm going to do once that's done, set this aside over here. Sorry, not the best camera work. And I have another fine mesh strainer over a fat separator. So the point of this is to give it one last strain so we don't want any bits or pieces coming through. You can also do a cheesecloth over this. And I'm going to put in a bundle till we got this, just so it holds about 4 cups. This one, I got this on Amazon. Best little fine instead of trying to skim all the fat off the top. So basically what we're doing, and this actually doesn't have as much fat, which I thought it might, only because we used lots of chicken feet, but because we didn't use any skin or fat pieces per se, set this back over here, per se, then we didn't really get a lot of fat. So this fat separator you can see here, and I like to leave this for about a minute. Right at the very top, see that lighter line? That's the fat. So we're gonna let this sit for a minute, and then what I'm gonna do is, once I think it's set it where it needs to be, I'm gonna pour it in here, and I'll show you that step in a second. Okay, so I've got the fat separator, and as you can see, there really isn't a lot of fat. So that top layer right here is the fat, and this is all the broth. There is a little bit of floaties in it, but I'm not concerned. That's just flavor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to one more last time go through the fine mesh sieve, and I'm going to pull this handle in, and you'll see what happens. I'm putting this into a pot. The broth comes out the bottom of nice green, doesn't spray everywhere. And we're just going to let that go until it hits that little line right about there, just to be safe. So that's about how much fat. Now there might be a little bit of fat that went into the pot, and I'm not concerned about a tiny bit, but we want to get the worst out. So this here, I'm going to put it into a probably just a metal bowl, and what I'll do is I'll put it in the fridge overnight once I've gone through here and all of this here and the other pot there. And I'll put it in the fridge overnight and let the fat harden, get rid of that, and anything on the bottom jelly will be broth, so we can use that and just put it in a freezer bag. Okay, so I strained all the broth. What I'm doing now is, I didn't tell you before, I did end up running this all through a mesh strainer here with some cheesecloth, just because it was still a little bit, not cloudy, but there was some little flecks of stuff in there that I didn't really like the look of. So what I've done is, this is the very last bit. So all of those bones and everything that I had in the big crock pot and the big roaster in the small crock pot, this is what it ended up being. So it is a big bowl of them, but I've squeezed all this. You can see some little bowls around here. I've squeezed everything out, and this is what I've got. So I'm going to strain this last little bit through my cheesecloth, and then I'm going to put it, I'm going to go a little bit quick over here. And then I'm gonna put it in here. So I have two, these are actually pretty big pots. This is my big Presto canner, and you can see these two pots are basically full. So I'm keeping them warm on the stove, not quite boiling, but hot to the, no, more than to the touch. And my Presto pot, I have 12 cups of water in there. So what I'm gonna do is strain the broth through, fill my jars. I've been heating them in the oven at 170 degrees. I have 24 jars there. So I'm going to fill all those up, and we're going to get them in and canning, and I'll show you as I go along. So this is nice and hot. The jars are warm, and I'm just filling up. I filled up 9 already. That fits in there. So these are 9-pint jars or 2-cup jars, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm going to continue to fill 9 more. Because I'm doing smaller ones, I can actually fit 18 in, which is really great. So I'm just going to fill these up to about 1/2-inch head space. You don't want to fill them too high, because if you do, what ends up happening is they siphon out, which means some of the broth will come out during the pressure cooking process, and then you're just losing it, and you're making, you know, getting kind of foggy water and some yuckies on the outside of your jars. So I'm just going to show you here where on the jar I filled up to. So basically that's where I filled up to. When I'm done, I'm just going to take a cloth which I've dipped in vinegar, and the vinegar cleans off anything in case I've a damp spot here. There we go. So I'm just going to wipe all the way around the room really, really well. It takes off any sediment. I'm going to put my canning jar lid on. There we go, just put that on. Now I know that you're supposed to sterilize them, and I did in the past, but I haven't done that recently, as these are being pressure canned. The jars are definitely sterilized, and they've been hot. So basically put this on. I'm just going to do this finger tight, which is right about there. I'll check that a little bit. I'm going to continue these 9 jars here. I'm going to put in my, I'm just going to go back here. So once I've put this in, I've had the water up to, I think it's 180 degrees. I put my first 9 jars in. This is so I can put another layer in. So I'm going to put 9 more jars on top here, and then I'm going to get the pressure canning process started. And when I get to that point, I'll show you where we're at. Also, once you put your water in, put about a tablespoon of white vinegar in. If you are somewhere where you have hard water, that'll leave a kind of like a whitish film on your jars. If you don't put the vinegar in, and putting the vinegar in helps save that, so you get nice clean jars. I've got the top layer of these out. I'm just going to remove the second layer using my handy dandy tongs, nice and firm, and we're going to get these out. So I've taken half of them out, so I got so far 18 jars, and you can hear them still popping there. As soon as it hits a regular temperature, we get that popping of the lids, but that's a good thing. So yeah, so I'll continue. Sorry, terrible camera work here. I'll continue to get these out, and show you the process after I get this is the rest of the broth. I'll get it in the jars there, and I'll get back to showing you the proper process that I forgot to last time. So I apologize for the noise in the background for having our bathroom redone, but I've done 7 more jars of broth and my pressure canner. Gonna put the lid on, and I'm going to cook these for 25 minutes at 11 pounds of pressure. So I'll show you as we go what we need to do. Okay, so lid is on, and you'll see here you just have to line these up. So I'm gonna push these together. There we go. So you want to make sure these are nice and tight. And I've turned my burner on high. So what I want to do is I want, from this steam escape, I want to see a steady flow of steam come out of here. When it's steady, I'm going to put a timer on for 10 minutes. And then we put on the rocker after the 10 minutes and bring this up to 11 pounds of pressure, which is just past this little dot here. And then we're going to try to keep it steady at that. I may have to adjust the burner a bit, but we're going to keep that 11 pounds of pressure, and I'll put a timer on for 25 minutes. So as soon as the steam comes and I put the 10-minute timer on, I'll show you. All right, so I do have a little bit of water here around the pressure gauge, not the pressure gauge, I shouldn't say, but just this is like the pop-up to let you know that it's pressurized. So when it's down, there is no pressure. Once it pops up, the lid is pressurized, and you absolutely do not want to open the lid up then. So I'm going to zoom in here. We want up to 11 pounds of pressure. Right now what we're looking for is that the steam pipe. There's going to be some steam coming through. You'll see a couple drips of water. I'll try to catch the steam stream if I can. It's just starting, so it's not working yet, but I'll show you. I'm going to hold this oven mitt behind it so it might be easier, so you can see, there you go, you see the stream coming out. It's kind of breaking. It's not a straight stream. It'll only take a couple minutes, and while that comes up, when you get one straight stream, you're going to turn your timer on for 10 minutes. And then at that point, this is probably going to pop up at some point too, to say the pressure is there. So this is coming up pretty darn close. Like I said, you want to make sure it's a straight stream. That way you know the pressure is building and you're where you want to be. Okay, so it looks like the timer or the stream, you can see the steam there. It's coming up in a steady stream, so I'm going to put the timer on for 10 minutes. You can see here too, as a little bit more steam is coming out and the timer is on, that this button is spitting out a little bit of water, which it does, and that's normal, so don't worry about that. And you can see as it comes that the little thing there, it says top on it, if you can read that or not, that will pop up shortly. A little bit of steam coming out here, so it should be popping out soon. I'm just going to add my brush. It's starting to raise a little bit. Let's see if we get this on camera or not. Maybe not. The thing I do want to advise you is when using a pressure canner, follow the instructions in the book exactly. This one is a Presto, and it's my book there. It has lots of different recipes. It says different kinds of processing, how many pounds of pressure, depending on your elevation. So the elevation you have to take into account as well. So be sure to use this book, follow it like it's the Bible, if that works for you. And yeah, you can't go wrong as long as you follow it. There's nothing to be really afraid of. The other thing too is, so you know that if you have an Instapot pressure canner, that is not something you can use to pressure can this. There we go, we caught it on camera, so that's up. So we're under pressure now. 6.5 more minutes for the steamer, and then we're going to come back. Okay, 10 minutes have passed. I've got the rocker here, which we need to put on, and I like to use an oven mitt so I don't burn my hand. And that goes right on the top. So now we're going to get the temperature up. I'm going to keep this on a pretty high, about 8. And keep that going and get the pressure up to this point here. So I'll check in a few minutes and we'll go from there. It's just a couple minutes and already the pressure is climbing. So we want to get to the 11 mark, which is a little dark down past the time, so that's where we want to get to. So it'll take a few minutes. We'll check in, you know, we're there, and when we're there, we want to keep it steady at that temperature for 25 minutes, and we're going to have to adjust the heat down. It'll probably usually sits on the floor that keeps that pressure. Okay, so that pressure is almost there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it get to the 11, maybe go to 12 actually, and then I'll reduce on the stove from a little over 8, and I'll go down to 6. And we want to make sure that that pressure is going to hold at 11, and if that's the case, we'll bring it back down from, if I do 12 down to 11. If it goes a couple pounds of pressure over, it's not a big deal. You don't want it to go, if you end up going into this 20 or I think 15, it starts rocking, which we don't need. And if you do, it's not a big deal, but as long as we don't get, if we get into this caution one, for some reason you forget about it, turn it off, get it off the burner, and leave it. So right now we're at a little over 11. So I'm going to turn this down right here. Oops. Try it to about 6. And we're going to see if that holds. And so what I'll do is I'm just going to let this go. Keep my eye on it myself instead of keep showing you the borders real quick. And I will cook these at 11 pounds for 25 minutes. And then when that's done, I'll show you what we do. All right, so this is done. 25 minutes is up. I'm going to turn that timer off so it doesn't beep. I'm going to take it from this burner and move it off the heat to this burner. We're going to leave it, I'll set the timer for about an hour, and as soon as this button here drops down, so you can see there it's up, once that drops down, you take the rocker off. You're going to get rid of that, and you're going to put the timer for 10 minutes, and then you should be able to take the lid off. If the canner gives you any resistance when you turn the lid here, don't open it, just leave it for another 10 minutes until it opens easily enough. Once that's done, I'm just going to take the rest of the jars out. Again, this is what I've got so far, and I'm going to lift this up because these are still really hot, and I'll show you the color, which is amazing. So I have another 9 jars of these. So this is chicken bone broth. If you want to do beef bone broth, you're basically going to do the same process, and all you're going to do is take the beef bones. You're going to not put any seasonings on them. You're going to put in the oven at 400 degrees and roast them for about an hour and 15 minutes. Turn them halfway through. You want them nice and golden, and then you'll take it and you're going to follow exactly the same process. Put in your aromatics, peppercorns, maybe some bay leaves, carrots, onions, celery. Put all those bones in, cover them with water, and cook them away for 48 hours, and then you're going to go through this canning process. So I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you make your own bone broth. This should be nice and gelatinous. I did do a beef broth previously to this one. I didn't film it, so like I said, it's exactly the same process. So chicken broth, beef broth, it's the same thing. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I hope you come and join us again. It's been great having you. This is the start of my canning season, so as things go along, I'll do lots more videos, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much for joining. Have a great day. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't, so you get notification, and click the little notification buttons, that little bell, so you get notifications as I post new videos. Have a great day, and thanks for joining.